So this morning, it is the day after the Israeli elections, and as I expected, nothing has changed. Israel is deadlocked. Democracy, the way of the heathen, the way of the goyim, the way of the Gentiles, has failed Israel. Democracy has failed Israel. Let's go ahead and go to the headlines. The first one here on News Now: Lieberman disappointed from Gantz's speech. Netanyahu refuses to concede defeat after suffering election setback. Live updates: official results in election to the 22nd Knesset. And Netanyahu and Gantz in a deadlock with 91% of the ballots counted from the Jerusalem Post. We'll go look at that one. So, Likud and Blue and White won the same number of seats, and the center-right bloc won one seat more than the center-left bloc. Channel 12 reported on Wednesday morning, quoting real but unofficial results with over 91% of the ballots counted. While according to the official website of the Central Elections Committee at 6 a.m., only 30% of the ballots had been counted, Channel 12 said they could already share more updated results. So this is a what I would call a conflicting report. They say 91% of the vote counted, and then they say 31% of the vote counted. So which is it? So basically, Israel is in disarray, just like they were in the last election. They should not have expected anything different, because democracy, the way of the Gentiles, ultimately will lead to failure. I'm going to go ahead. We'll see what Ben Franklin said about democracy. Let's see. Well, let's look what he said about a republic. And I would not say that Israel is a republic, but the United States is a representative republic. There is a story often told that upon exiting the Constitutional Convention, Benjamin Franklin was approached by a group of citizens asking what sort of government the delegations had created. His answer was, "A republic if you can keep it." Let's see here. Democracy quotes. Okay, Thomas Jefferson. A democracy is nothing more than mob rule where 51% of the people may take away the rights of 49%. And what is it? John T. Wenders, an economist, said there is a difference between democracy and freedom. Freedom cannot be measured by the opportunity to vote. It can be measured by the scope of what we do not vote about, which is a very strange quote. John Adams. This is very, very important. I think John Adams' statement on democracy is probably the most important of them all, which is why Israel needs their king. Democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There was never a democracy that did not commit suicide. And I think that that particular statement is the most important one. And this is what we're seeing right now. But it's not just in Israel. It is in Great Britain, the European nations individually, France, Germany, Italy, especially Italy right now, and then the entirety of the European Union, and of course the United States. It is the way of the Gentiles, democracy is. Aristotle, unlimited democracy is just like an oligarchy, a tyranny spread over a large number of people. Benjamin Franklin, democracy is two wolves and a lamb voting on what they are going to have for lunch. And here's another one. This is very applicable to the United States today. When people find that they can vote themselves money, that will herald the end of the republic. Well, this is exactly what has happened in the United States. Do I need to elaborate on that? When you have, for example, whether it be members of the House of Representatives, the U.S. Senate, or even the executive branch coming into power with little or no money, as we have seen in the past, and after they retire, millions and millions, and some of them even billions of dollars are found in their bank accounts. Where did that come from? It comes from this statement by Benjamin Franklin. When people find that they can vote themselves money, this is what happens. They use their power of influence to accept bribes from foreign countries, from corporations within and outside the country. That is the reason why politicians get rich when they have not beforehand ever embarked on a capitalist enterprise. So I think that it basically is enough. I mean, you can read more if you want to. Like this one right here from Thomas Macaulay, British liberal thinker. I have long been convinced that institutions purely democratic must sooner or later destroy liberty or civilization or both. The world is at a dead end, folks. Democracy has dead-ended the world. And as I have done so many times, go on to Daniel, the book of Daniel. Daniel 4, no, 2. Daniel 2. Is it 2? I believe it's 2. Verse 36, this is the dream. We will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. You, O king, are a king of kings. For Jehovah, or Elah, is how it reads here, of heaven, has given you a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. He's talking to Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven has he given into your hand, and has made you ruler over them all. You are this head of gold. And after this shall arise another kingdom inferior to you, and a third kingdom of brass. Of course, the second kingdom of silver would have been the Persian Empire. And the third kingdom of brass would be the Grecian Empire, which shall bear rule over all the earth, Eretz. The fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaks in pieces and shatters. Scatters and shatters. That's what Rome did. Scattered all Israel. All things are in front of it as iron breaks, crushes, and shatters the whole. These will be shattered and fall to pieces and be crushed. And whereas you saw the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. In the beginning, folks, when I say in the beginning, I don't mean in the days of Augustine. I mean in the beginning of the toes and the 11th horn that rose up among them. They became divided between east and west, but the 10 toes were not of the east, they were of the west. And as the sea shall be divided, but it shall be in it the strength of the iron, for as much as you saw the iron mixed with miry clay. This iron mixed with miry clay, as I've said over and over and over again, it is the amalgamation of peoples. It is the doctrine of diversity. It is the Babylonian way. And this is the reason why in the book of Revelation, in order for the Apostle John to remain alive, even though he was in prison, the name Babylon was used instead of Rome. Confusion. Babylon, or Rome, has now become the city of confusion. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas you saw the iron mixed with miry clay, they shall, let's see what it says here. It says to come to pass. To become, to pass. Well, that's interesting. Let's see what it says further. Because Hava is used. With the seed. What? Wait a minute. What's going on here? You know, I used to read this part as it said because I didn't realize that I didn't think that it needed any interpretation. Okay. Okay. Hava shall come to pass not to cling this look as iron does not mix with clay. Okay. However, what it's saying that iron does not mix with clay. You see, in the toes, iron does not mix with clay. They're trying to mix iron with clay, but iron does not mix with clay. So the implication is they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. You see. So it appears to be accurate in the way it is explaining this. And this is what's happened in Europe today. But it's not just Europe. It is the entirety of Western civilization, unless you think that Russia is not affected by that. Russia has a population of over 20% Muslim. Russia is also affected by, even though they are not of the 10 toes. They're not affected. You can't say that Russia is not affected by this Babylonian way of mixing iron with miry clay. It is affected from Russia all the way to the Americas. But he's talking about the 10 toes. They shall not cleave to one another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the Elah of the sky, Shemayan, set up a kingdom. We know where this kingdom is going to be. Now, Israel knows where this kingdom is going to be. The rest of the world does not know where this kingdom is going to be. And because of it, when it happens, they will come and try to snuff out this kingdom. Right? Which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom, not a democracy, folks. In spite of what they say about Benjamin Netanyahu being the king of Israel, he's not. In spite of what Wayne Allen Root said about Donald Trump being the second coming of the king of Israel, he's not. Democracy has failed. And of the 10 kingdoms of Europe, these democracies in Europe, they're called constitutional monarchies. So they still are kingdoms. But the rule is by a constitutional monarchy, which means a democracy as the top tier governing power, and the kingdom is at the second tier. this kingdom that's going to be in Jerusalem will never be destroyed, and it will not be left for other people, not be for another people, not be for a different people. In spite of what these quote-unquote church people say, they say they are the new Israel and the old Israel must be thrown out. No, it will not be given to another people, in spite of what church folks say. No, it will be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, as is written in Daniel 7. But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever, perpetuity, antiquity. For as much as you saw the stone that was cut out of the mountain. What mountain? Mount Zion is the mountain. The stone that was cut is Yehoshua, Moshiach. Cut out of the mountain without hands, without human hands, and it broke in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold. The great Elah has made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof is sure. Now, it's possible that Israel might form a unity government between blue and white and Likud. I don't see it happening. I don't think so, because Scripture implies that they will be divided until the end. Let's see. Ezekiel 37. I know the churches love to twist this scripture, since they claim that they are spiritual Israel. They think it applies to them. No, it applies to Israel. Let's go to, Strong's Concordance. I'll try to get Strong's Concordance up here. The hand of Jehovah, not the Lord, Jehovah, was on me, and carried me away in the spirit of Jehovah, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones. And he caused me to pass by them round about. Behold, there were very many in an open valley, and lo, they were very dry. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Jehovah Elohim, you know the answer. And again he said unto me, Prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O you dry bones, hear the word of Jehovah. Thus saith Jehovah Elohim unto these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live. I will lay sinews upon you, and bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and you shall live, and you shall know Jehovah. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and I prophesied, and there was a noise, and behold, a great shaking, quaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. When I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them. Then he said unto me, Prophesy unto the wind. Prophesy, son of man. See, now this is, folks, this is what's going on here is a figure of speech. I know people will be outraged when I say this, but it explains itself. There is no confusion here. Prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith Jehovah Elohim, come from the four winds. Come from the four winds. Let's look. From the four winds. All right, we'll go to Zechariah 2, verse 6 first, and then we'll go to Matthew or Luke. Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith Jehovah, for I have scattered you abroad to the four winds of heaven, saith Jehovah. Deliver yourself, O Zion, that dwell with the daughter of Babylon. So, this statement in Ezekiel 37 says, thus saith Jehovah Elohim, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived. Why the four winds? Why? Well, you saw partially. And they stood upon their feet in exceeding an abundance, great wealth, strength, efficiency, army, substance, troops, valiantly, very powerful. All right. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Look, they claim, our bones are dried. Figure of speech, folks. They're talking, they're saying, our bones are dried and our hope is lost. Those in Israel today, and all Israel far and wide, are stuck. We're stuck. We can't move. It's like we are in our graves. Unable to function as a nation. We are divided. We are divided. We're divided. That's the reason why our bones are dry and our hope is lost, or our cord has perished. For this reason, prophesy and say unto them, thus saith Jehovah Elohim, my people, I will open your graves, the lands where all Israel are scattered, they are graves. They are sepulchres. And cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. And you shall know that you shall know Jehovah when he opens your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves, and shall put my spirit in you. And you will live, and I will place you in your own land, and you will know Jehovah has spoken it and performed it, saith Jehovah. The word of Jehovah came again unto me, saying, moreover, this, you son of man, take you one stick and write upon it for Judah, for the children of Israel his companions, and then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, for all the house of Israel his companions, and join them one to another, one stick, and they shall become one in your hand. Why? Because they are divided. Because they are divided, there's no hope. Because we are divided. And as we are witnessing today in the land of Israel, division, hopelessly deadlocked, democracy, the way of the Gentiles, has caused this. And when the children of your people shall say unto you, why don't you show us what this means? Say unto them, thus saith Jehovah Elohim, look, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, that would be the lost 10 tribes, and I will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in my hand. And the sticks thereof you write on, they shall be in your hand before their eyes. And say unto them, thus saith Jehovah Elohim, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen. The heathen are sepulchres. They are graveyards where the people of Israel are stuck in, frozen in, unable from among the heathen where they have been gone, and will gather them from every side, north, south, east, and west, from the 4 winds. This is how I says, cause the 4 winds to blow and breathe upon these slain. Up in verse, let's see here. Verse 9 says, then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith Jehovah Elohim, come from the 4 winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. Now many who are dead will, in fact, live. But as I have said before, this scripture has been deliberately twisted to make it sound like that this is only talking about a resurrection from the dead. That would be a false narrative. Right here, he explains himself. There's no explanation needed. Jehovah Elohim, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen where they are gone, and will gather them from north, south, east, and west, from the 4 winds, and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king, one melech, shall be king unto them all, and they shall be no more 2 nations, or divided, neither shall they be divided into 2 kingdoms any more at all. Speaking of the kingdom of David and the kingdom of Solomon, the kingdom of Jeroboam. Neither shall they defile themselves with any more idols, nor with their detestable things, nor of any of their transgressions, but I will deliver them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned. These graves, sinned. When we are living out here, far away from Israel, we are living in the land of sin. We are all still under sin. We only have a promise. The promise is deliverance. The promise is the new covenant. The promise is the forgiveness of those sins. And will cleanse them, and so they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim. And the kingdom of David, my servant, shall be over them, and they shall have one shepherd. They shall walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them, and they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob, my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt. And they shall dwell there, even they, and their children, and their children's children, and the royal line of his servant David shall be their prince forever. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them. Shall be an everlasting covenant, not like the first covenant. It will be the new covenant, as written in Jeremiah 31, verses 31 through 34, and Hebrews 8, verses 8 through 12. The new covenant with them. And I will place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them, yes, on Mount Zion, on the Temple Mount, he will set his throne. My tabernacle also, my dwelling place shall also be with them. Yes, I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And the heathen shall know that I, Jehovah, do sanctify Israel, when my sacred place, when his throne, it's coming. One of these days we're going to see it. His throne, Jehovah's throne, is going to set down. That's going to happen first. Just like it says in Daniel 7. When my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forever. As you can see, the holy place, the future sanctuary. This is Ezekiel 30. It's a future sanctuary. And you can find this in Daniel 7. And you can find it in Daniel 9. Behold, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. That's Jehovah, the Father, whose garment was white as snow, and his hair and his head was like pure wool, and his throne, his corset, was like a fire, a flame, and it had wheels that were burning fire, just like what Ezekiel saw in Ezekiel 1. His throne came back. Where did it sit? On Mount Zion, on the Temple Mount. Then, after that, in verse 13, I saw the night visions. Behold, one like the Son of Man came with the cloud of the sky, and came to the Ancient of Days. This is after the throne, the sanctuary, is set down on the Temple Mount. And they brought him near before him. And there was given him, the Son of Man, dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, Ummah, and tongues should serve him. His dominion, an everlasting dominion, which shall never pass away or go away, and his kingdom which shall never be destroyed. So, my message to Israel today is this. The way of the Gentiles has failed you. Your leaders have not brought back, which was, let's just go to Ezekiel 34 then. I believe it's 34. Yes. Verse 7. Therefore, you shepherds. What is he talking about right here in verse 1? Are the shepherds of Israel. Okay. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of Jehovah. As I live, saith Jehovah, surely because my flock became a prey, and my flock became meat for every beast of the field, because there was no shepherd, neither did my shepherds seek and search for my flock, but the shepherds fed themselves and did not feed my flock. Therefore, O you shepherds, hear the word of Jehovah. Thus saith Jehovah Elohim, behold, I am against the shepherds, and I will seek out my flock. It says hand, and cause them to break. Neither shall the shepherds feed themselves any more, but I will deliver, snatch away my flock out of their mouth. Is this the beginning of it? Is this, I'm not claiming to know. All I'm saying is the way of the heathen have failed. Democracy is something that was hatched up by the Greeks, by the Hellenes. He said he's going to snatch his sheep away from Israel's leaders. So that they might not get rich off of the backs of his people. For thus saith Jehovah Elohim, behold, I will resort to search my sheep and seek them out, as a shepherd seeks out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered. Yes, his sheep are scattered to the four winds. So when is this event going to take place? The one in Ezekiel 37? And will deliver them out of all the places where they have been scattered in that cloudy and dark day. The time of the great tribulation upon the Gentiles. And I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries, and will bring them into their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers and in all the inhabited places of the countries. And I will feed them in a good pasture, and upon the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be, and they shall lie in a good fold. Verse 16, I will seek that which was lost, and bring back again which was driven away, and will bind up that which was broken, and strengthen that which was sick. But I will destroy the fat and the strong, I will feed them with judgment. I have no choice, folks, but to go to a parable. Luke 15. This is about Israel, folks. At the time here, at this particular point in time, the gospel did not go to the Gentiles yet. So this applies to the two houses of Israel. Verse 11, he said, a certain man had two sons. The younger of them, that would be Ephraim, or the lost 10 tribes, said unto his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falls to me. And he divided them his living. That was when the kingdom of Israel was divided. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country. That was when Assyria, after most of the house of Israel had left anyway, before Assyria came and took the rest of them. And took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living. And this is even happening today. However, and when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land. Now, this mighty famine happened before, but a mighty famine is going to happen again in the days of Claudius. In the days of Claudius, a mighty famine came in the land, and the people of Israel, who were scattered all over Europe, even some in Great Britain, were conquered by Claudius, forced into subjection. And this happened. And they began to be in want. He went and joined himself to a citizen of that country. He became a Gentile. The lost 10 tribes became a Gentile, as written in the prophets. And this citizen, notice it didn't say he became a citizen of that country. It says he joined himself to a citizen of that country. And that citizen sent him to his fields to feed swine. And oh my, oh my, oh my. How this so rings true for me and my family. And he would have fain to fill his belly with the husk that the swine did eat, but no man gave unto him. And when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough to spare? He's talking about Gentiles that are living in the land of Israel. They're doing better. The Arabs in Israel are doing better than him. And I perish with hunger. That's coming. It's coming. The 2 witnesses are going to bring it. There's going to be no rain. I've talked about it in previous video. I will arise and go to my father. I will say unto him, Father, I demand equal treatment. I demand no. No, this younger son is not going to be doing like the Ethiopian Jews are doing today. No, the real son, the real lost 10 tribes are going to say this: I am no more worthy. Or he's going to say, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you, and I am no more worthy to be called your son. Don't call me your son. Make me as one of your hired servants. I am but a Gentile. And he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion, and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight, and am no more worthy to be called your son. And before he could say the next sentence, the father said unto his servants, Bring forth the best robe, and put it upon him, and put a ring in his hand, and shoes upon his feet. And bring here the fatted calf, and kill it, and let us make merry. Let us eat and make merry. For this my son was dead, and is alive again, Ezekiel 37, folks. Ezekiel 34. He was lost, and he is found. Ezekiel 34. And they began to be merry. Now his elder son was in the field. And he came and drew nigh to the house, and he heard music and dancing, and he called one of the servants and asked what was going on. And he said unto him, Your brother has come back, and your father has killed the fatted calf, because he has received him safe and sound. And he was angry. Still division, folks, still division. And would not go in. Therefore came his father out and entreated him. And he answering said to his father, Look, these many years I have served you, and I have not transgressed at any time at your commandment, at your Torah. And yet you never gave me a kid, and I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as this son, your son, was come, which has devoured your living with harlots, you have killed for him the fatted calf. And he said unto him, Son, you will be forever with me, that's Judah, and the house of David, and all that I have is yours. The house of Judah, the kingdom of David, will rule the entire house of Israel. The two kingdoms will become one. It was necessary that we should make merry and be glad, for this your brother was dead, figuratively, is alive again, was lost, and is found. Folks, this cannot happen under a democracy. It is impossible. Therefore, people of Israel, listen to me. Democracy has failed you. Abandon it. Call upon the name of Jehovah. Ask him to send Moshiach, son of David, as the scripture promises. Ask for this, so that Israel is no longer divided. Democracy is divisive. Can't you see what it has done to the entire world and to you? Do this. All Israel, far and near, call upon the name of Jehovah, because it is written in your prophets. Joel 2. Verse 28, it shall come to pass in the after part, in the following part, that's when the time of the Gentiles come to an end, that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters, Joel, that would be Israel, shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. And upon your servants and upon your handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. Did that happen in the days of Acts 2? No, it did not. It was only a partial fulfillment, and it was, again, only partial, because blood, fire, and pillars of smoke did not happen on that day in Acts 2, verse 1 through 13. This is an event yet to come for Israel, for all Israel. The sun will be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of Yehovah come. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will call upon to proclaim his name loudly, on the name of Yehovah. Please, folks, look at this. Read this carefully. It is not the Lord. It says the proper name of the Elohim of Israel. Learn it. Call upon it. Don't say Hashem. Don't say God. Call upon the name of Yehovah. Shall be delivered or shall slip away. Slip away from what? From this terrible, terrible day that is described in Ezekiel 34, that cloudy and dark day. Because in Mount Zion, you see, that's where his throne is going to be. That's where that throne is going to come down with its flaming wheels. That would be the Temple Mount. And in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, shall be an escape. There's only one way. There's only one place you can escape to. Jerusalem. Just as Yehovah has said before. And in the survivors whom Yehovah, he will call. He will call them back. An announcement will be made. Hopefully we will see from far away, from near and far, Yehovah's throne come down on, and as it's coming down, the flames of fire will burn away all the garbage that are sitting on the Temple Mount, desecrating the holy place. Chase the Arabs out of there and come down. Judgment will be set, and Yehoshua, the Messiah, the Moshiach, will be crowned the prince. This is what you're looking for, Israel. This is what the whole world is waiting for. Just do it. Invoke Joel 2 or Yoel 2. Read it today. This exercise you took part in yesterday was an effort in futility. It will bring you nothing but division. You need unity. Not with just those that are already in the land. No. You need unity with every single solitary Israelite scattered around the world. And I don't mean unity in spirit. I mean unity in Eretz Israel. All being brought back together from the four winds. Put this dead body, Israel, back together again. This is what I'm talking about, folks. There's only one way. There is no other way.